Who could have seen the cost of materials almost tripling?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
as you're getting it.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been to the pump, like the gas pump, and as you pumping gas, like the price is going up?
Yeah.
You're like, wait a
That's
minute.
what's happening, literally, to lumber.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You go like, oh, I forgot a slab. You go back, oh, it's 5 times.
Yeah, it's 5 times more.
Right. Dave, like,
My hairline is just holding up. You gotta have real faith.
yeah.
You know?
Actually, that's the real lesson right there.
Seriously.
On this broken road, you gotta be willing to build a street of gold. Don't you know a loss ain't nothing but a lesson to a boss?
Welcome to another episode of Lessons Not Losses. I'm your co-host, Jessica Myers, with the amazing
Dre Parker, your money, legacy, and life coach.
and
Hakeem Herring, your real estate partner.
where you never take the L. How y'all feeling today?
Oh, man.
I'm feeling
we're
wonderful.
great.
Let's
Feeling
go.
good. Let's get it.
Let's go. Let's get it. Okay. Well, I really want to bring us into our guest today, Mr. Khiry Peterson. How you feeling?
Feeling good.
He is the ATL auto broker, as well as the vice president of Built by KJ,
Yep.
which literally you've been doing real estate development, the luxury lifestyle,
Yeah.
everything you've been doing for some time now, actually.
Yeah.
Because really, it's like it's been who's in you. I met you in college.
Yeah.
And literally to see you from the young version of that, of
Yeah.
everything excellence, and to now grow that into a business.
Yeah.
What has the journey been like to see it flourishing? And you provide cars and houses to the celebrities.
Yeah, you know, and those are two monumental purchases that people kind of focus on when they feel like they have reached that level of success. So it kind of went hand in hand with one another. I got my start in the auto industry with my uncle. He had a buy here, pay here dealership. And, you know, I was just washing cars at 15, 16. And my uncle seen something in me where he was like, dude, you have that ability to talk to customers. So, you know, start next week, let's put you on a sweater or a little shirt and tie, and let's try and navigate what that looks like. And, you know, I was in high school selling cars. You know, my first car, people were like, did somebody buy that for you? And I'm like, I had a hand in buying this myself, you know? So that spirit of entrepreneurship and just being a hustler and a hard worker has been ingrained in me since childhood. And then transitioning into real estate, it really took off after the pandemic. My first build, I partnered with who is my now business partner, Kevin Jefferson, the owner of Built by KJ. And our first project together was an estate that sold for $1.9 million.
Oh, wow. That was the first project.
That was my first. I like.
Welcome to the world of
Yeah,
real
like,
estate.
Jumped
Wow.
out there,
Off
right?
the
Yeah,
porch.
jump all the way out there.
How old were you?
That
that
was
time?
what, 5 years ago? So 30. I just turned 30.
Yeah.
So that was an amazing leap into real estate. Tell us a little bit about how that all came together.
You know, it's synergy. We had been friends for some time, and I have helped him out with other projects in the past. But on this one, because of the magnitude of the project, I mean, again, it was like 10,000 square feet. You know, you needed multiple people to be able to manage that, not just project managers, not just foremen, like actual people that have some brain power to help you navigate how to get this to the finish line, especially during that economic climate.
Yes, I was going to ask. I was like, you jumped in a fine time. You said 5 years ago. That was 2019.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So 2019, 2020.
And we all know, if y'all know hindsight's 2020, it's that way for a reason.
Literally.
2020 was a year.
Yeah.
Especially in the builder world.
Seriously. It was great. And it was also full of many lessons.
Real lesson.
Yeah. So, you know, it was a lot of figuring things out as you go. It was a lot of finding mentors in this industry. And the beautiful thing about Atlanta is it's a space where people will help you.
Yeah.
You know, it's
for sure.
It's nothing like it.
That's why I tell people, I go anywhere, I'm like, you want to be from Atlanta, because the way we protect and cultivate entrepreneurship and Black entrepreneurship.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. you know, and I was a little nervous that people would kind of see us as like competition or a threat, but there were, you know, Black people in this space that were, you know, architects, builders that were like, okay, these were the lessons that I learned.
Yeah.
Let me put you on game so you don't learn what I had to, you know, late in the game that I did, you know? And you're always going to learn lessons throughout your career and personal life, business life. But when you align with people that already have some things figured out, it makes things a lot easier.
Oh, there's that word alignment.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
word alignment. That's
We love
literally
that
my
word.
word for the
Yeah.
year. It's alignment.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that right away.
To get to that level in real estate, a lot of times there's lessons along the way and stumbles
Yeah.
along the way. Like, how did, before you got into real estate and did your first project, like, what were some of the things you did as an entrepreneur, like kind of stepping stones to get to that level?
I know it sounds very cliche and like a protocol response, but your relationships are everything.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what kind of propelled me to building, you know, the kind of projects that I started off doing. It's because, you know, my clients were multi-millionaires and they were like, hey, you're doing this, you've done good business in the car industry. Here's $100,000 to keep your multi-million-dollar project going, you know?
Backtrack. Backtrack. This is where it gets good. This is where the real lessons, not losses, because to do a project of that magnitude, there's several moving parts. The situation or scenario where you needed additional funds to keep the project going.
Cash call.
Yeah.
Yes. How like, just tell our viewers, tell our audience, like, so they can feel it too, because there's some real dark nights in those projects. There's some real times where you're praying to God, got to make a couple of phone calls just to keep the project going. What is that like?
You know, there's two sides of the real estate game, so to speak. There are people that will 100% tell you like, oh, you know, your credit is everything, and there's, you know, ways to do your builds without cash. And then there are people that, you know, have a completely different viewpoint of that, which is like cash flow is everything. And to just do like a quick breakdown on like how a ground up build would go and why you need money. I'll give you a quick kind of breakdown of it, right? So if Jessica came and said, hey, I got $1 million approval from my bank, you know, I already own the land. I'm gonna make this very simple for this exercise. I own the land. I have $1 million construction budget. Kai with Built by KJ, I want you guys to execute this build. I've seen all the things that you've done in Brookhaven and Southwest Atlanta and blah, blah, blah. And I've chosen you as our builder. The bank is going to do their due diligence. You know, they're going to make sure that you have the experience underneath your belt to be able to execute what Jessica is approved for or what she wants. Once they kind of go through that, you know, we sign our contracts and we move forward. The bank does not give you $1 million at one time. No. Okay? So, you know, for the novice developers, you know, entry level people, they're asking for smaller deposits, or they may not ask for a deposit because they feel like they haven't created that credibility to be able to do that, you know? So for new builders, they may say, okay, we will accept what the bank gives us, which is what's called a draw schedule. So the bank is going to say, hey, we're going to give you this $1 million, but we're going to give it to you in increments based on benchmark completion. So when you pour the foundation, then we'll reimburse you or give you your first draw on that. When you get framing up, we will inspect it and then we'll issue your draw on that. The same goes on with the building process, MEPs, drywall, flooring, blah, 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 all the way up to certificate of occupancy, CO.
MEP, oh, look at you. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing. I love it.
So what happens is Murphy's Law sometimes comes into play where
What can
you
happen?
know,
Oh,
yeah, who
Yeah.
could have seen the cost of materials almost tripling,
Yeah.
Right.
you know?
As you're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, have
Well, as
you
you're in it.
ever been to the pump, like the gas pump, as you pumping gas, like the price
Yeah.
is going up?
Yeah.
You're like, wait a
That's
minute.
what's
Yeah.
happening, literally, the
20
lumber.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
You go like, oh, I forgot a slab. You go back, oh, it's 5 times.
Yeah, it's 5 times more. You know, you have these other crazy instances, vandalism. Like I had one of my projects, they stole all the toilets out.
Oh,
you
man.
know, like
Like, yeah, like,
Man.
what are you doing?
I mean, I know toilet paper was really big during that time in 2020.
Yeah,
but
the toilet.
we just want it all.
That's the toilet paper.
So, you know,
Oh no, nothing worse. You were saying the HVAC. Wait, at closing, during the HVAC inspection.
yes, very
No.
literally.
They-
Yeah, HVAC gone right before we had our HVAC inspection. And I mean, we're insured and all that, but if anybody has any experience in dealing with insurance, you know it's a complete nightmare. And you don't have that time to wait on the insurance to reimburse you. Now you need extra cash flow to keep your project going, so you can just get to that inspection benchmark so you can just get your money back.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's just for custom building.
Yeah.
You know, it's even harder when you're doing spec, which is you are building a house and then presenting it to the market. You get your money on the back end, you know?
So you know what I think about, especially having hazed myself up and gone through that too. And I decided to become a developer in 2019 as well. And I really think back to, why did I do that? Like when you really look back at it, because a lot of people look at you in entrepreneurship and they're just like, oh, you know, so many people, you can just get a job. Like it's so much
Yeah.
simpler. But it's something in me, and I'm asking, what is that in you that just crazily still sticks with this entrepreneurship thing, even in the midst of having to go through catastrophic changes?
Yeah, I don't think that anything that comes to you easy is going to have a lasting impact. You know, in order for you to have or create real legacy, you're going to go through trials and tribulations. You know, I'm a Christian and I read the Bible, and, you know, there are so many instances in the Bible where the trial is through fire. You know, but on the other side of that trial is like great reward, right? You know, you look at Job, you look at Jonah, all these people that have gone through like catastrophic events.
Right.
But on the other side of that is like, you know, reward beyond their wildest dreams. But it takes sacrifice. And I think what has been instilled in me is, again, just wanting to create that legacy on my own terms. So it's a price that has to be paid. It's a lot of stress. I was telling the fellas, like, my hairline is just holding on.
It's doing good, brother. It's
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
good. But you know, a lot of times people don't want to go through that. Like they see your success, they see all this stuff. They don't want to go through the losses to get to the lessons, right?
Yeah.
Could you explain to people like the emotional fortitude that it takes to actually go through the challenges that you went through?
For sure. I mean, again, I spoke to being a believer. You got to have real faith. You have to really have faith, not only in God, that he's going to, you know, bring you through this and give you the vision. As like a sidebar, again, I'm not a youth pastor. I'm not anything like that. But I really...
But ministry extends beyond the walls.
absolutely.
Right.
You know, if you are in the Bible, you know that Moses had a speech impediment, you know? So God called him to lead, you know, the children of Israel out of Egypt, and he very literally stuttered. You know,
Right.
so
That's
sometimes
why
God
Aaron
gives
was
you
there,
a
right?
vision,
Yeah.
and you're like, how am I supposed to even do this when I don't have the tools necessary, or I don't have the education, or I don't have the experience? And God is not saying like you got to have it all together. Literally, what you talked about, you figure it out as you are working through it.
Man, see what I'm saying? The
Sure.
alignment. Because
Yeah.
literally, you got to fall in love with uncertainty.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
And so many people don't want to do that part. Like, I have started conditioning myself to say, you know what? Whatever the day brings me, I'm open.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, whether it's good or bad. Because I believe even in those bad situations, guess what? You grew to be a new person.
Yep.
And that's really what this is all about.
Yeah.
Becoming that new person, the best version of yourself.
Yeah. And you can't be afraid to start over again as however many times is necessary. You know, I told this story before, and it's posted on my social media about 409. Have y'all heard about 409?
No.
All right. This is a good one.
Cleaner?
Yeah, the cleaner. Yeah. So you know how they got the name 409?
No.
So there was these scientists, and they started, this chemical concoction that is supposed to clear 99% of germs, right? And they tried it one time, 100 times, 200 times, 300 times. They did it 409 times to get it to the proper chemical compound, so it killed 99% of germs. And they sold it to either Procter & Gamble or Johnson & Johnson, one of those mega corporations, for millions, almost billions of dollars. And now it's a household cleaner. Nobody knows,
They wouldn't think the difference.
absolutely. And the thing is, like, could you imagine if they gave up on try 300?
Yeah.
It's easy, or it's easy for people around you to be like, are you still working on that chemical concoction? Like, go make some sponges. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to have that resilience in you. That's like, okay, that industry, I learned that lesson. Okay, this industry learned that lesson. For some people, it's going to come on the first try. For other people, it's going to come
The 410.
the
Yeah,
409
exactly.
time. So you have to have that resilience.
Yeah, not giving up is important as an entrepreneur. And you spoke on relationships, and in real estate, you really need relationships, especially in times like when you need to call on people. Can you speak to us about what is it like, going to bed at night saying, man, I need $100,000. I don't have it.
Man.
But tomorrow I have to get $100,000 by any means necessary.
Yeah.
A lot of times your relationships are the lifesavers, So
Yeah.
have you had that experience in your...
More times than I would like to admit.
Yeah.
But it just goes to, who you are as a person.
Yes.
Right? A lot of times people don't necessarily believe in your product, but they believe in you.
Ooh.
I know that this person, is a hard worker.
Yeah.
I know that they care a lot about their reputation. I know what they have done in that industry. They may not be the expert on it in real estate, but what I do know about them is that they're a make it happen kind of person. Those are the kind of people that, investors, friends don't mind putting their money into, and just pairing that with proper communication, because sometimes stuff goes left.
Yeah.
Can we curse on this? Do I need to keep it clean?
We can.
I'm gonna keep it clean.
But listen,
I'm gonna keep it clean.
I want
But
you to be
stuff
you.
goes
I know they look so.
left.
They look
Right.
so gentlemanly.
So you
Don't let it fool you.
Yeah.
duality.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what it really comes down to. But yeah, your reputation will precede you before you even walk into rooms. You can make those calls that aren't so like professional. It's very real. I mean, I remember getting my first 6-figure investment, and I didn't even have a proper deck. Like my pitch deck looked so basic. It very much gave PowerPoint. Like, but from that moment of someone, believing in me, it was just up from there.
Let me ask you this, because as entrepreneurs, I always say, you're not in real estate until you've experienced a loss. You have to earn your stripes in real estate.
Yeah.
And a lot of times...
You didn't tell me that before.
But it's how you handle that loss and how you bounce back from it. So have you ever experienced a loss, and how did you recover from that?
Yeah, just recently, I was in a bidding war with a property that I almost personally fell in love with, and that's another tangent sidebar. Like,
Detach.
detach yourself from projects. Make
okay.
it can be your passion, but the main P is profit. But yeah, I lost $100,000 in earnest money. Because I was it's just gone. Yeah. And I mean, the sellers have reached out to our agent, are like, hey, if you guys end up coming up with the proper funds, then, we'll reduce the cost of the project. But just being so invested in it because I wanted the land where it was and just like wanted to have that prestige of like, okay, I'm a black builder building in this area, that I didn't do the proper due diligence. Like I did DD in other ways, but not truly putting that money into, you know, getting multiple appraisals. You know, the bank is telling me one thing, the appraisal's telling me another thing. And finally, when it came down to it, they're like, yeah, you need an extra $1.1 million. We're only approving you for 2. And I'm like, this whole time, I'm thinking that we were going to be approved for 2. I've like kind of moved in faith. You know, God knew it.
Yeah. He was counting the money before it came.
That, you know,
actually, that's the real lesson right there.
Seriously.
Yeah.
No, I get it, and that's been the difficult part for me because I never thought I could fail because I thought it would always come through.
Yeah.
Until the time that it didn't, and it's just like. What is for the people that do a lot on faith and belief?
Yeah.
Like, what is that line between you probably should just walk away wisdom wise, or you really gonna make it work?
It is thin.
It's thin. It's
Because even
very
when you
thin.
said that, the
Yeah.
first thing I thought was appeal the appraisal. I mean, that was the first thing I thought.
And you know
but-
that I've done that.
Yeah, he's a fighter.
You know, but
Yeah.
had I did it beforehand and rather than put that money because I'm so nervous about losing it and, you know, like, let me just put this money to hold, you know, make it mine, and then we can kind of work backwards. Not every time it works in your favor, you know, and we've talked about the property loss, you know, through vandalism or through theft. You know, I've done everything as far as securing properties with fences, with cameras and all these things. And them folks will still, if they want it, they will find a way.
Hey, they were
you know,
looking at the camera as they were cutting. They were looking at the camera.
Hey, you know this mine, right?
I need this more than you.
Yeah.
You know,
but you know
Like,
that's
we'll see you.
yeah. But you know what? It's just crazy that we got to go through those things, right?
Yeah.
And I think like when I'm coaching people, I'm like, are you the type of person that believes that nothing wrong is going to happen in your life? Because we got to expect those things, right?
It's a thin line.
It's
man.
a thin line.
It's-
But then that's when you got to use discernment,
Yeah.
right? You got to say, okay, am I going way out of my way to try to make something happen that's really not going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
But you know
yeah.
what I just realized? Because I'm trying to figure this out too.
Yeah.
I feel like as long as you have your North Star,
yeah,
because it's easy. It's like going on a route, and it's like, do I make a left or a right? Well, if I know my North Star,
Right.
it will tell me which direction to go.
On this broken road, you gotta be willing to build a street of gold. But you know a loss ain't nothing but a lesson to a boss. Standing under the pressure, you can fold. Gotta go with your gut when lose or draw. But you know a loss ain't nothing but a lesson to a boss. A loss ain't nothing but a lesson to a boss.
We learning lessons over here.
Let's go.
We apply pressure when life hits, we never quit. We double down on our effort and then we triple it. From boardrooms to courtrooms to boss blooms, we blow away adversity like a monsoon. So get up, march on, yo, you gotta choose. To stay stuck or keep going, cause even winners lose. Sacrifice is the price paid to bear your cross. Learn your lessons in life so you won't take the loss.
On this broken road, you gotta be willing to build a street of gold. But you know a loss ain't nothing but a lesson to a boss. Standing under the pressure, you can fold. Gotta go with your gut when lose or